Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rekakadash. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shah being the name of His only begotten Son, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Now we finna dig into this video of Umar Johnson because he is bringing out a lot of information that is true and a lot of false information. So let's go into this information he's talking about. Now, first, I want to get into the scriptures because it talks about a generation or a family that's been misinformed. Colossians 1, it says, even the mystery which have been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to the saints. See, it's a mystery that was hidden from generation. So what do the scriptures tell us to do? Let me get Job 8:8. The scriptures say, for inquire, I pray thee, of the former age. There go that age. It was hidden from ages. And prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. See, we have to search for our fathers. Look at Deuteronomy 32:7. It say, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. See, hidden from many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. See, we need to search our fathers, search our history, and see where we come from. Because it's been hidden. How has it been hidden? Let's let Umar jump in.
This is going to be the buzzword for 2024 to get black people energized. It is, and it's also a trap. Now, first of all, the reparations movement comes out of the Pan-Africanist movement. We gave birth to reparations. It's not anything new. That's our thing, although it's for the whole people. A cash payout for reparations is a trap. And the reason a cash payout for reparations is a trap is because so much of what needs to be fixed in American society for African people will take more than cash to do it. In other words, I give DJ Injury $233,000. Or if I take the Bob Johnson plan, he said each American African is due $350,000, right? I give you $350,000. Does that stop mass incarceration? Nope. Does that stop miseducation? Does that stop gentrification? Does that stop police genocide? Does that guarantee us access to wealth? I mean, in the state of California, what can you get with $233,000? I'm not even sure if that's enough for a house. And on top of that, the minute they give you the payment, they can reduce the value of the payment through inflation. So I can flood the economy with money so the 233 is only worth 120 in about 24 hours. And then guess what they're going to do after they give the reparations to African people? They're going to find subsidy programs to give to the LGBTQ, to the women, to immigrants, to other people. So at the end of the day, what looked like a step up for black people would be a step back. If I was in charge of the reparations conversation, number one.
Okay, before he go into this, let's look at one of the main problems. Now in Jeremiah 51, let's see here, Jeremiah 51:19. Now it says the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance, and the Lord of hosts is his name. Now, this Jacob, meaning the Israelites, they are the former of all things, meaning the creators of all things. Now, let's go into what he is finna talk about.
Control of all black music must only be done through the black community. No non-African can control our music. Prince, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Biggie, Tupac. If the publishing, if the marketing, if the promotion, if the recording is not controlled by black people, that has to change. We own our own music. Nobody can own, sell, produce, publish, promote black music but black people.
Why is that so important?
Because music is one of America's leading export industries. America makes more money off black music than almost anything else that she sells. So if we control the music, we have a steady stream of global revenue where we can build a black Wall Street in every single city in America for black people. That's how much money will be coming in from black music. That's one. Two, all black inventions return to us permanently.
Now let's go into while he's bringing up the black music. Let me get this black. See, he's talking about black people. Now, Joanne Frederick Blumenblock, he the one come up with this black people stuff. See, there's no such thing as a black people. That's a lie from this red dragon. See, no such thing as white people, no such thing as yellow people or red people. See, this is a whole lie that was created by this man. And so this lie was created for a purpose. See, you lie, you have a motive to your lie. And he had a motive to hide people's identity from their fathers for generations, to hide their fathers for ages of time, because ages mean just a period of time. And this is how they've been hiding it, talking about some black people. But let's go back and let him finish.
All black inventions return to us permanently. Everything we invented is a permanent patent for Africans. And if you want to use it, you must pay us a percentage. The cell phone, we invented that. Internet, that's ours. Helicopter, that's ours. Self-lubricating engine, the microphone, the stop sign, the walkie-talkie. Why are those lights on right now? Because a black man named Lewis Latimer wrote a textbook that taught China, the UK, Canada, and America how to light up a whole city at night. Without Lewis Latimer, you don't get street lights at night. You don't get constant illumination anywhere in the world. So guess what? Anybody running lights, you paying black people. Take back ownership of our music. Take back ownership of our inventions. Next on the list is all the confiscated lands. We had hundreds of thousands of acres of land stolen from us between 1865 and Malcolm's assassination in 1965. We need to put together a research team that's going to investigate all the land that was stolen from African people and return it back. Since most of our people are dealing with homelessness, we have the highest homelessness rate in black America since the 60s. If we can get our land back, that will go a long way to getting a lot of our single mothers and their children off the street.
All right, now he talking about land. Let's get that out the scriptures. Psalms 49 and 11. It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. And see, this is what he talking about, these African people mess. See, no such thing as an African people. See, you can't find, let's go into him. You gotta search the Bible. Let's put in African. Nowhere. Zero. Put in Africa. Nowhere. Zero. Nowhere in this Bible is anything even close to a freaking Africa. Now, let's go to this other situation. Now, this guy on the left, Francisco, he the one created this African mess because he was dedicating it to Scipio Africanus, the red dragon on the right. And so he became famous for doing so. Not only that, he was the one going to Europe, going to Rome, collecting all of the history. He was a major historian. They gave him a reward for being one of the big time historian, collecting all of the history. He started calling the Dark Ages. He coined the word Dark Ages because he was so mad about the dark skinned people ruling for 1,000 years. See, that's why he said the Dark Ages was the rule of these dark people, and these people wasn't called no Africans. He didn't say the Africans came in. He said that people from Italy and people from no, he said people from Spanish, because you had the Spanish over there. Um, those were dark skinned people, and then they said people from Africa, the Africans. He didn't say that, but he was alluding to that, the people that came from that landmass, because the landmass was named after this dragon who took it over during the Punic Wars, and so he became so famous that now his poem that he wrote became famous, and they combined both of those thoughts together, that the Dark Ages was when the Africans, they was named Africans. See, and that was the whole scheme that he probably came up with, because he had a secret book, and his secret book probably was telling them, you name these people something other than what they are. Just call them a color, or call them Africans after Afrikaners. So they will never know that they came from any place. Even their own place is named after us, and they don't know the history, just like our history was hidden. And we didn't know our history, that we ruled Rome and Greek. We had major rulerships. But if you don't know the history, you won't know that, because you see these Negroes, they in Germany, Russia, England, they ruling all over the place, and you wouldn't know we ruled if you didn't know the history. So let's make the history turn into one of our people. Let's name they landmass after us, and they peoples after us. See, and that's the scheme this dragon probably came up with, because he was so upset that we was ruling for 1,000 years, and they had been ruling Rome. They had a massive empire, and he was mad that the empire had failed, and he wanted to get their people back on point. That's what the Italian Renaissance was from him. That's how powerful and popular he was. So when this Dark Ages situation, but this is how the people thought was called Africa, man. It wasn't no man called Africa, and he was way back before Abraham. Cause that's another point this man finna go into. Let me see if I can find that.
Every time you see a little black boy or girl playing with a white doll instead of a black doll, that's psychological damage. When you see a black man take the life of another black man, that's psychological damage. America owes us more for the psychological Holocaust than she can ever owe for the labor. So we need to talk more about that. In addition to that, I don't hear nobody talking about the role the Arabs played in the transatlantic slave trade. I don't hear anybody talking about the role that the European Jews played in the slave trade. I don't hear nobody talk about the role that the Catholic Church played in the slave trade. If we're going to talk about reparations, bring every group that was responsible, those who financed the slave ships. That'd be Nigerians too, though. Okay, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. There was participation from some African kingdoms. We know that Dahomey, for example, which was popularized in the Lion King movie. The Woman King movie. There was some African participation, but guess what? The transatlantic slave trade was a European operation. It was.
See, these terms these people using, this is why the psychological is no reparations for that, man. You can't give reparations for the psychological, because these people is finished in their mind. They throwing out talking about Europeans, which they was the European. See, Benjamin Franklin was straight up saying that the Europeans was swarthy or black, straight up. So they was the Europeans. It was named after a dark-skinned woman named Europa. See, it was named after one of the nobles at that time. Then he wants to bring up these other people. Let me get that out the scripture because see, all these people, these other nations, benefited, and these what the Negroes don't understand is that they got to pay. Now, when you go to Zechariah 11:5, it says, "Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not." See, all these other nations is got wealthy while we was sitting around being poor and being oppressed. They not finna get no kind of reward, and they not finna get no kind of blessing. They done got their blessing. See, that's why he said those that been blessed in this world have already got their constellation. They not looking for nothing. Don't be looking for nothing when it comes to the next world. It ain't gonna happen. Let's go back to the video.
It was a European operation. It was controlled. It grew. It was financed by Europeans. When many of the African nations found out what was really being done to us, because in Africa there was no concept of chattel slavery. There was no such thing as owning people forever. There was no such thing as perpetual ownership of an entire family line or a bloodline. You understand? There was no such thing as being dehumanized. European slavery stripped African people of our humanity. There's no precedent for that in the world before European chattel slavery. They didn't.
See, that's a lie. Let's go to the scriptures. See how Negroes be lying. Daniel. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Nah, I wanna get it. I'm gonna have to go. Yeah, let me get it out of First Chronicles of Ezra. Salakia. Okay. Okay. Now, Nebuchadnezzar was an African. He was a Hamite, came from Ham. Now, he went to Jerusalem and enslaved the whole nation. And these was dark-skinned peoples. He said, now these are the children of the province that went up out of the captivity of those which had been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon had carried away unto Babylon, and came again to Jerusalem and Judah, every one unto his city. So look, they named all the slaves, all the families of these dark-skinned people who became slaves to these Africans. They got the number of the people of the whole family. So what is this man talking about? Babylon, the captivity of Babylon is certified. Solomon's servants, all these people went into slavery. He said the whole look at 64. The whole congregation together was 42,303 score. That's how many people that was being drugged away into slavery by these Africans. And the Africans didn't give them up. The Persians went in there and whooped they behind. That's why the Israelites went back home. The Africans didn't get them people up. They would have kept them people. Even in Egypt, Egypt was holding these people, and the Lord had to come save them, man. What is this Negro talking about? He don't know what he talking about.
For European chattel slavery, they didn't know what they were getting into. They were wrong and can be held accountable. But let's not take the onus off of the true power structure behind slavery, and that was the white man. I think you say Portuguese. Oh, Portuguese was in it, the Dutch was in it, the Italians was in it, the Germans was in it. Who didn't have a hand either in slavery outright or colonization that came after it? And when you factor in colonization with slavery, you can't possibly blame an African nation for that because they suffered during colonization as much as we did in slavery. So I reject any proposal that wants to make African people more liable for slavery than the white people who owned, controlled, expanded, and benefited. Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, they're definitely not more liable. It's just like you said, everybody needs to be equally liable. Oh, equally. Everybody needs to be at the table. Absolutely, but Africa don't owe us reparations. They owe us as a people internal reparations, just like we owe ourselves as.
See, that's another lie. Let's get Joel. Joel chapter 3. It says, verse 4. It says, yeah, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? What's that recompense? Reparations. It said, and if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. See? Then look at verse 8. It say, I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off, for the Lord have spoken it. So these Africans is going to be our taskmasters. We're going to use them as taskmasters for these so-called white people that put us in slavery. Now when you go into Amos, chapter 9, it said, thus says the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, see that's them Africans, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remember not the brotherly covenant. See, they gonna have to get payback, and reparation is gonna be more than some money.
People internal reparations, just like we owe ourselves as a people internal reparations. Here's what I want to say. We are entitled to reparations. We will get it. But let us be clear something. Money isn't going to fix many of the problems that we have. Money isn't going to stop the back and forth accusations and tearing down that's going on all over the internet between black men and black women. Money not going to stop that. Money ain't going to make the black man love the white woman anymore. You understand me? Money is not going to remove the self-hatred complex that so many African people have within us. There's so much that we have to do on our own that money cannot buy. So anybody who thinks that money is going to reverse the psychological holocaust is insane. It has its place.
Now, he halfway right about that, but money is gonna solve a lot. Cause we gonna have slaves. That's the greatest form of money. But let's get this. Oh, that's not it. 35, 33. Okay. Salakia. Genesis. Nope. Numbers. Salakia. Bingo. This the reparations we getting. It say, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. See, that's the reparation that we gonna get, because it's not just servitude and money that we getting reparations for, because it's more than this. That you got psychological, and you got the blood that's been shed. See, death has taken place on a large scale, so that has to be paid. It has to be a payment for that, and only blood can be paid back for blood.
It does has its place, but it is not a panacea for all of our problems. And I am of the opinion that if you don't change the way we think before we get reparations, if you don't build an infrastructure for African people before we get reparations, you change nothing else about African people. Damn. Can we please talk about Jerry Jones? I want our young men to understand how African people related to God before Abraham, before Jesus, before Muhammad. Those religions, in all due respect to all of them, they're only Christianity is 2,000 years old. Islam is 1,500 years old. Judaism is about 4,000 or 5,000 years old. But traditional African culture and spirituality is more than 250,000 years old. We dealt with God far longer from a non-Abrahamic tradition than we have from an Abrahamic tradition. Nothing's wrong with those. But I want our children to understand how we deal with the ancestors, how we deal with the earth and the land. And so we're going to have that. There will also be signs of the black family.
Now, this is the ultimate stupidity. He has no proof of anything with a million on it when it comes to time. The only proof that they have is 6,000 years of proof, and I'm going to say 5,000 to 6,000 years of proof of humans living on this earth. There's no other proof that they can get, because when you go in the land, you only stuff don't only last 5,000 to 6,000 years old going into the ground. Outside of that, you don't know how long and what the heck was going on. And it's no Abraham religion. See, that's a lie. You had Enoch, you had Noah. All of these individuals was, and then you have Adam. See, these people was dealing with the Most High, and it was no such thing as an Abraham religion. When it got down to Abraham, he was being passed down what Noah had. He was being passed down what his father Shem had. He was being passed down what Adam had. See, it all was being passed down, and it is no such thing as no Abrahamic religion. It just was passed down to the Israelites, and it stopped right there. That's why the Israelites is the key individuals, and there's no such thing as no African people, man. We are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that's the bloodline we come through, and there's no such thing as no African. That's a lie. There's no such thing as black people. That's a lie. And you ain't gonna throw some African name on us and try to act like we ain't created everything. We ain't got the greatest inventions and powers and all of this other stuff connected to us. And this is how we don't need no slave ship evidence. See, we don't need no evidence of DNA and all this kind of stuff. We know that we done created everything on the scene, and Jacob was supposed to be the former of all things, and that's the evidence. We know we can't get out of our situation. That's another evidence. We have self-hatred in our community. That's the curses of Deuteronomy 28. See, the evidence is clear that we are the children of Israel and we not no Hamite Africans. See, they over there got billionaires and all kind of countries. See, and they've been having it way before we got down to this colonization mess. They had kingdoms and was ruling for a long time, right along with these other nations. While we was being enslaved by the Arab, they was ruling. But I'm gonna leave it there. All praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honor to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.